In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make my favorite soup in the world, Doenjang Jjigae. Essentially, it's a spicy and savory soup with tofu and veggies, and it packs a ton of flavor, so let's get into it. Technically, you can use water as your base, but traditionally, fish stock is used. To make it, clean the dried anchovies by removing the organs and gills, leaving only the body and heads. Roast the cleaned anchovies in the pot you'll be using for the stock. This step reduces the raw fishiness and adds a toasty flavor. Once roasted, add about 1.5 liters of water. Then throw in some garlic and frozen ends of green onions for extra aroma and flavor. Also, this is your chance to use any leftover vegetables you have lying around. Then add a knob of ginger to brighten up the stock. Then grab a dried pollack, which is available at most Asian markets. Remove the head and toss it into the pot. Then trim the tail and fins from the pollack to reduce any unwanted fishiness. Then peel off the dried meat from the pollack over the pot to let any flakes fall into the stock. Finally, add the skin to the broth. Also, these flakes can be used as a separate side dish or really as jerky. In any case, add a whole onion to the pot. Then rinse a radish under cold water. Then slice a chunk of it and toss it into the stock. Then wash some serrano peppers and add them in. From there, you're gonna rinse some dried kelp under cold water, then toss it into the pot. Then rinse a dried shiitake mushroom to remove the dirt, then add it to the stock. Then finally, you're gonna top off the pot with boiling water to ensure that there's enough liquid. Once everything is done, just wait until the stock comes up to a boil. Then lower the heat to medium, cover, and let it simmer. This stock can be essentially used for any Korean soup, or I guess soup in general. So all you would have to do is through a strainer, put it into a jar, and just leave it in your refrigerator for whenever you need it. But before you use it, just make sure you shake the jar because the stuff tends to really settle at the bottom. Now it's time for the Doenjang Jjigae, the main point you guys are all here. The first step is to dice half a small onion or a quarter of a large one. Then dice 3 serrano peppers, first lengthwise and then horizontally. Then add the serrano peppers into the pot. If you have leftover radish from the stock, dice it and add it to the pot, but this step is really optional. Then add a knob of minced garlic for added flavor. Then add a spoonful of Japanese miso for sweetness and depth. Then add a spoon of doenjang, the star of the soup. Optionally, you can add this other type of doenjang if you have it, but one type works fine too. Finally, add a spoonful of gochujang for sweetness and spice. I believe this is really the, secret ingredient because most people don't put gochujang in their Doenjang Jjigae, but it just tastes better in my opinion. From there, mix in some coarse and fine Korean chili flakes to give the soup a vibrant orange-red color. Then sprinkle in a little crushed black pepper. Add a splash of mirin for some balance. Then pour a small amount of stock into the pot to dissolve the paste and spices. Then cook this mixture over medium heat, stirring constantly to really remove the raw flavor of the paste. Just make sure you keep an eye on it because this burns real fast. I would say just cook off the rawness for about 5 minutes, then add some stock by straining it over a strainer, only until it's halfway full. So you only put stock until the pot is halfway full because, you're going to dice a block of tofu and add it. And this will essentially release a lot of water and naturally increase the soup's volume. From there, add the diced onion. So if you made the stock like me before making this Doenjang Jjigae, essentially fish out the mushrooms and the kelp, and you're going to dice them into bite-sized pieces and toss them into the soup. If not, you could just add your own mushrooms, fresh or raw. From there, you just taste the soup. If it's too salty, add more stock. If it's too bland, add more doenjang. And you just let it simmer for another 10 minutes and essentially recheck for seasoning. And once it's perfect, it's ready to eat. And that's essentially it. So you've made Doenjang Jjigae. The soup is pretty versatile and you can enjoy it as a side dish with other food or as a main dish where you're essentially mixing rice into it. So yeah, give it a try and let me know what you think.